Okay, it's me, and I'm going to make some sourdough. I'm going to make a seeded sourdough, and I'm going to use my whey. So here's my whey. As you can see, it's 114 Fahrenheit. Warmed it up a little bit. Here's my sourdough starter. I could have got to it a little bit earlier. You can see it had doubled, but now it's coming back a bit. So I'm going to get on with it. I've got in here 400 grams of strong flour, as they call it, which is high protein flour. This is about 14%. You can use normal plain flour, which is usually about 5%. Won't rise so much. I use this because of the whey rather than water. Whey kind of inhibits the rising a little bit. It's also a bit salty. And then I've got some whole wheat flour, 100 grams of that. So that's 400 of the plain and 100 of the whole wheat. Then here I've got some pumpkin seeds, some sunflower seeds, sesame seeds, 2 types, white and black, flax seeds, and the mixed seeds. So I got 25 grams of these guys, the pumpkin and the sunflower seeds, and I've got 15 grams of everything else. And then I've got some tarragon. And I'm going to get some salt too. And let me first pause it for a second before I actually do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put some of this yeast, my sourdough starter, into the whey. Okay. As you can see, I've added a little bit of salt here. That's only 5 grams, and that's because I'm not using water. If I was using water, I'd probably use 10 grams. Okay, so let's bung all this in. Bung the tarragon in. Bung all the seeds in. And then just whiz it up a little bit. Okay, that'll do. And now I'm going to add the yeast to the whey. The thing about this is when you do it, you have to make sure that you don't. The yeast has to float, and you also time you do this sort of thing, you should weigh everything that's going in. Okay, so I'm just going to pour it out. We'll see how much we've got. About 100 should be fine. Maximum of 100. And if you look at that, you can see it's floating, right? Just how it should be. What have we got there? 73. We'll put the squiz inside. Okay, that'll do. 107. Okay, now we just whiz it all up. So I forgot to tell you that I did have 333 grams or milliliters, the same thing, of the whey. So now I've got 333 plus 107 is 440. And then I've got 500 grams of the flour, and 440, this makes it an 88% hydration. So it's going to be a bit sticky. That's all right. I need it sticky because it needs to rise. Okay, so I just turn this on very slowly. And I'm going to zero this one out to see how much I actually put in. So I put about almost all of it in. 363, so I've got another 70 to go. Better put a bit more in, eh? $195. Okay, I'm just going to put the rest of it in. Let's see how much we got. 435. Okay. Now, I'm going to let this rip for a while so that it'll kind of mix up a bit. You can see it's kind of sticky. And now we're going to leave it for 35 minutes. G'day. Well, it's been 35 minutes and now I'm going to do a little bit of mucking about. So the idea behind letting it sit there for 35 minutes, whatever, is auto-lyse. Basically, it allows the flour to absorb liquid. And what I'm going to try and do is to get the window pane effect. So what that is the gluten in the flour has formed long strands, parallel strands, and so it holds together much better. So when you grab the dough and let it dangle down, the dough stretches out and you see the light through it. What I've got as my tools here are some water, because the dough is probably sticky. Some flour. This is just normal self-raising flour. This isn't my fancy high protein flour, high gluten flour. And this thing. You can get them plastic or metal. This just scrapes along the surface of the desktop. Okay, so first of all I'm going to give it a bit of a whiz to see how sticky it is. Let's see. Well, you can see it's still fairly dense. Because it's kicking back a bit. I'm just going to stop it, and it's coming away from the side pretty well. So that looks pretty good. But it might be a little bit too dry. I'm going to feel it. So push it back up a bit. Oh, stay there. What if I can make it stay? Not really. Okay. Hold on a minute. Okay. As you can see, if I do this, it's fairly stiff. It's also fairly sticky. I'm not going to put any more water in it. You see it tears pretty easily. See, it's a tear there already. Tear at the top. So we're nowhere near the stage for the window effect. So I'm going to there's two ways of doing this now. I'll do it the easy way. The hard way is to take everything out of here, put it on the bench, slap it about a bit, put it back in. Well, I've got a mixer. I'm going to let the mixer do the slapping. So I'm going to slap it about a bit, and then let it sit there for another quarter of an hour, then try again. You don't need to see this. Going to check the window pane. So wet my hands a bit, tilt it back, and it comes off almost entirely. Well, it has now come entirely off from the bottom. And what I'm going to do is grab it a bit around, grab it all around. Really, I could take this out, but let's see how stretchy it is. It's pretty firm. Can you see me through it? Not yet. Now, you don't know whether you can see here, but right here, it's starting to lighten up a little bit. Yeah, and right here too. That looks pretty good. Yeah, window pane passed. So now it is time to do a little bit of shaping about and put it into proof. First proof. Okay, here we go. So there's the dough. I'm going to put a bit of flour on the bottom for now. Just a little bit. This pretty nifty thingy. I like that. Took me ages to think about it. So I'll dig it out. And out she comes. There we go. So now what you want to do is you can do a little bit of stretching. This is the way you would normally stretch. Heel of the hand and push it out, back over, and you can do it this way as well. But because I've let the machine do that, I don't need to do it. But what I do need to do is you need to make a ball like this. So you see what I'm doing? Putting it down, my fingers behind the back, fingers, and then pulling it towards me. What that does, it tightens up the surface, and apparently that makes it rise more happily. We shall see. Okay, here we go. So there's the dough. I'm going to put a bit of flour on the bottom for now, just a little bit. This pretty nifty thingy, I like that. Took me ages to think about it. So I'll dig it out, and out she comes. There we go. So now what you want to do is you can do a little bit of stretching. This is the way you would normally stretch. Heel of the hand and push it out, back over, and you can do it this way as well. But because I've let the machine do that, I don't need to do it. But what I do need to do is you need to make a ball like this. So you see what I'm doing? Putting it down, my fingers behind the back, fingers, and then pulling it towards me. What that does, it tightens up the surface, and apparently that makes it rise more happily. We shall see. Okay, got a bowl, put a bit of olive oil in. I've got my dough here. Slap it in the bowl this way up, get olive oil on, and then turn it up the other way. So it's nicely coated with olive oil all over. Okay. And now, all you have to do from this point is to bung it in the proofer. Okay, I use a hairnet, like one you can get from shower cap. You get when you go to hotels and always give you this crap stuff. I don't need it because I don't got any hair already. Anyway, you bung this on like that. So that's my sourdough in there. This is my proofing box made by Bird and Taylor. Bird is actually, it's actually Danish, it's probably pronounced Brød. They're not very succinct with their accents. Anyway, it's actually an American company. It costs about $100, and we live in the fog belt, although not today. So we need this. It's set to 83 interior temperature right now. You may be able to see that there's 87. Doesn't want to be any more than that. So I'm just going to put this one in and put the lid on, and then leave it for 4 hours probably. There we go. Okay, it's 4 or 5 hours later. Didn't really keep a track. And here's my box, and let's see how the bread's been doing. Well, you can see it's come up nicely, eh? Got some more on the go. So take a look inside. That's where I poked it about 20 minutes ago, and it's come back nicely. So what I'm going to do is, I'll show you. I'm going to flatten it out here. I'll show you that. and then I'm going to put it into this casserole dish, and I've put some flour in there. That's going in the fridge later on. Okay, that's all. I put a bit of flour down here. This may or may not be necessary, I'm not quite sure, depends. And I've got my thingy here, whatever they call it, I've got a name for it, don't know what it is. Now, if you look inside here, what I'm going to do is dig around. You can see it's kind of easing away. It's a bit bubbly, which is great, it's what I need. Okay, put all that in here. There we are. Now, well, first of all, let's do is we deflate it a bit. So, many ways of doing that. I'm going to keep it kind of roundish. And you can feel it's a bit cool in places, a bit warm in other places. Okay, that's about right. Now what we want to do is make a ball out of it. So we fold it over into itself, almost all the way. And keep doing that all the way around. One ball. Well, not quite. By now the flour's actually gone. I didn't put very much flour down. You don't want too much flour down, or any if you can, but you want it to stick so that you get the tension. It's got a little bit of oil, the flour's gone, so it's not getting quite the tension, but it'll do. Okay. Now I want to put it in my casserole dish, comme ça. So I don't want it to stick to it. I could use paper, you know, baking paper. Well, that's a bit of a waste. So let's just sprinkle this. I've got lots of stuff in the casserole dish itself. A bit more over there. And I can put it in. And what I normally do is just try and get some down the side too, because this is going to expand while it's in the fridge overnight. Okay. Done. Get the lid. To the fridge. Okay, it's 9 o'clock, 8:30 the following morning. Just taken the dough out of the fridge. It's in here. It's risen pretty well. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sprinkle this with flour, sprinkle the top with flour, turn this out onto that, and then spread this. Sorry, score it first of all with one of these guys. There's a name for it which I can't remember. And then spray it with that. And then put the lid back on. Then put it in the oven at 450 Fahrenheit for 40 minutes. Okay, so the top of the bowl, it's got lots of flour on it. Bottom of the bowl has got lots of flour on it. I have used this, dig around the edges like that. So I'm going to flip it over and hopefully that'll work. I'm going to flip that into that. Okay, here goes. This. And you can see it dripping down here. Okay, this is going to take a little while, it's a bit stuck. Okay, that was more of a pain than previously been. And you see it there. See that? Needs washing out. And we'll center this a bit. Okay. Okay. I forgot to mention this actually has been taken straight out of the fridge. I need to put a bit more flour in some places. Just in case it hits the top of the bowl. Highly unlikely. Anyway, so now we do some scoring with the blade. It scores quite easily when you've had it in the fridge for overnight. And I've tried it, warming it up and all that for an hour or so, and believe me, it doesn't make any difference. It's actually no better. So now we do a squirty thing with the bottle. Kind of defeats the purpose of having all that flour on top. Now I think about it. Oh well. So this is supposed to make it a crust. Okay, lid goes on. It's supposed to actually make it rise more when we're talking about making a crust. So this goes in for 35 minutes. The lid comes off after 35 minutes, and then it's another 10 minutes. On 450, I put it on 450 all the way. You can actually reduce it down, but I don't think it makes any difference. And I do use a thermometer to make sure that the temperature inside is 205 or thereabouts, and it's got a nice crust on it. So here we go. Okay, I forgot to put the timer on, but I use my trusty thermometer. So if we do it down the side, I think you'll see, I took the lid off 5 minutes ago because I checked the temperature. Now it's going to be quite hot down here. You can get up to about 210, I think. So that's kind of on the limit. Notice it's clean, bung it in the middle. And 98, 200, yeah. Okay. So that's been in a bit longer than I wanted. Well, let's turn it out and see. So obviously you've got to scrape off the flour, but it's a pretty good attempt. I think we'll try it later on and see what happens. We'll give it an hour or so, have it for brekkie. Okay, so here's the bread. I've scraped off most of the flour on the bottom, and it's a good size. Let's see what it looks like. Just a crusty thing to it. Yeah, it looks alright. Let's try it. Just the right amount of tarragon. Yummy.